And just a stone's throw away from the hustle and bustle of the traffic there is the Green and Sea Point Bowling Club, where we are to witness this afternoon the fours finals and the open singles finals in the Met Board South African Bowling Championships. And there is the Pyatt Trophy. That's what it's all about, but I suppose more than the cup is the honor and glory of winning the South African fours, or winning the South African Open Singles title. The fours contestants are Pretoria High School Old Boys, skipped by Kevin Campbell, and there are the flags of the various different districts, with the sea in the background. And up against them, Wedgewood of Port Elizabeth, Wedgewood Park of Port Elizabeth, skipped by Brian Lewis. And we're coming back to the action now. On rink number 4 is the singles match in progress between Dave Kempthorne and Dave Pulteney. They're both from Ladybrand. And on rink number 5, which is the rink we're going to concentrate on to start with, is the fours final between, as I said, Pretoria High School Old Boys, skipped by Kevin Campbell, with his third, Chris de Swart, his second, Charles Grindley, and his lead, Floris Toll. Up against them, Wedgewood Park, skipped by Brian Lewis, third, Dave Kolnick, second, Errol Rakusen, and lead, Mike Cecil. They've played one end only, and Wedgewood Park are leading by 2 shots to 0. Wedgewood Park are red, and Pretoria High School Old Boys white. And on the mat is the second for Wedgewood Park. That is the lead for Wedgewood Park, I beg your pardon. And that's Mike Cecil. And playing a good draw, just getting a touch. I'm Jeffrey Weinberg, and with me in the commentary box for expert opinion this afternoon again is Cyril Lahana, former South African Masters champion and current Transvaal Fours title holder, Southern Transvaal Fours title holder. Beautiful weather here in Cape Town this afternoon. The sun shining, warm, just a light breeze to cool things down a little bit and make it just that little bit more pleasant for both the players and the spectators. A very big bank, which has been absolutely the hallmark of the entire 2 weeks of the Bowls Championships, the number of spectators. And another bowl piled in there by Wedgewood, and now it looks as if they're lying 3 shots. And on the mat, the Pretoria High School Old Boys second, Charles Grindley, and a good bowl needed from him. And has he drawn the shot? Well, up go the hands, so maybe, but it looks to me like it's second shot.
Yes, it could be second shot. Just slightly in front is the red bowl, which is the bowl of Wedgewood Park, which could be line shot.
And Errol Rakusen, the second from Wedgewood Park. This is a good bowl. And a touch. And now definitely Wedgewood Park are lying the shot, but he moved the jack back just a fraction, and it may only be one. He may have just moved it away from his own front bowl, but I'm sure that his skip, Brian Lewis, very happy to have a bowl right on top of the jack like that. And now it's Charles Grindley again, and will he bend in time? I think not. And away go the seconds, and it'll be the turn of the 2 thirds. The thirds, Dave Kopp of Wedgewood Park and Chris de Swart of Pretoria High School Old Boys. Comparisons on paper, of course, are always invidious, but if one has to look at record, then Pretoria High School Old Boys must be the favourites, skipped by Kevin Campbell, who needs no introduction whatsoever, with both his third, Chris de Swart, and Floris Toll being interprovincial players. His second, Charles Grindley, is an interprovincial B player, having just received his Northern Transvaal B colours. And up against this, Wedgewood Park with a single sole interprovincial representative in the form of their skip, Brian Lewis, who for 2 years now has played second for Neil Burkett in the Eastern Province side. But none of the other 3, Dave Kolnick, Errol Rakusen or Mike Cecil, has played interprovincial bowls. So As I said, on paper, it looks like Pretoria High School Old Boys. For the moment on the green, it looks like Wedgewood Park. And now it's Dave Kolnick to play again. Wedgewood Park still possibly lying 2. And Dave Kolnick being asked to draw around the short front bowl on his backhand. And it just depends whether he can get the bend around that bowl with the right weight. I think he's going to be fouled on the bowl. He has been, but he's done no damage. In fact, if anything, he's turned his own bowl up by promoting an opposition bowl onto it. And now I think definitely Wedgewood Park would be lying 2 shots. And just to bring you up to date on the singles, which is taking place on the adjoining rink, Dave Poultney is leading by 2 shots to 1. We'll be taking some of the singles action shortly, but just for the moment we're going to stay with the 4s. But as I said, Dave Poultney leading Dave Kempthorne by 2 shots to 1, and they're both from the same club, Lady Brand. Yesterday we were under the impression that this was something which had never occurred before. We knew, in fact, that there had been a previous occasion when Kelvin Lightfoot had played an opponent, but we thought that they were from different clubs. But it then turned out that Kelly Lightfoot had played Rudolf van Vuren twice, in 1962 and again in 1968. And the second time they weren't from the same club, but the first time they were. They were both from Westmore Park. Just stay with this 4's action for a moment. It's Brian Lewis who's been really at the tower of strength in this Wedgewood Park side, and if they owe their place in the final to any one person, then it is certainly to Brian Lewis, who has had an absolutely magnificent tournament. Yesterday afternoon in the semi-final against Jewish Guild BP, they went into the last head 4 shots down. They drew magnificently for 5. Jewish Guild BP were unable to disturb the head at all, and they picked up a 5 and won that game by a single shot, 19 shots to 18, to bring themselves through to the final. This is their 4th appearance in the final, and they've never won it yet. Brian Lewis looks like he's going around to the back this time in case Kevin Campbell should decide to have another run at the head. And do you think he will have another run at the head?
Yes, I certainly do. I think he will play it with more controlled weight this time, because his bowls are just about 1.5 meters behind, and he'll just try and get a little bump on the white. And he's on a very good line, Jeff.
If he slices it to as we look at it, he's going to pick up a lot of shots, but he was just that fraction wide, slipped away, and 2 shots it is to Wedgewood Park. So the score now, Wedgewood Park 4 and PHS Old Boys 0. And there, some of the interested spectators you saw, they were actually looking away to the scoreboard. And now it is Wedgewood Park 4, Pretoria High School Old Boys 0 after 2 ends. Now we'll leave the 4s just for a moment and pick up the singles, where they have just commenced the 5th end. The score is 2-all, and Dave Poultney just delivering a bowl. He's a fraction short, but he's got the shot. And these two are great friends, as you can well imagine. Lady Brand has 25 male members in its club, and I asked these two if they knew how many times they'd played each other this morning, and they said frankly it's innumerable. Apart from the championships and competitions in which they've met each other, they've played each other so many times in practice that they know each other's play inside out and back to front again. So this should be a very interesting final.
Yes, they have played one another many times, and what is the results of all those games is that Dave Poultney has never beaten Dave Kempthorne.
Yes, at the moment, Dave Kempthorne is the club singles champion, Lady Brand club singles champion. The runner-up, who else but Dave Poultney? And how many times that's happened, I hate to think.
This is certainly a case of the master playing his pupil, Jeff.
Yes, Dave goes back a very, very long way in bowls. I had a chat to him just before the game started, and he tells me that he made his first appearance in the South African singles in 1966. That's 24 years ago, when he reached the quarterfinals. And goodish bowl from him there, but I think that Dave Poultney is still lying 2 shots. After that, he didn't play in the South African national tournament again until 1987 due to leave problems. He's always had to choose between playing for his club in the national tournament and himself, or playing for his province. And perhaps to his great credit, he's always opted to represent his province. And for a very, very long period of time, he didn't play at the South African National Championships. He went back to them again in 1987, and in 1989 he was rewarded with the South African singles title in Eden Vale. So he's defending that title this afternoon. And a good-looking bowl here, but is he going to give it away? He might. No, I think he still holds it. In fact, he may hold 2 or 3 shots there. He just shifted the jack slightly to the right. One out, and they're looking, and looks as if Dave's conceded 2 now. So a good bowl there by Poultney. I better call them Kempthorne and Poultney, otherwise you won't know who I'm talking about, since they're both Daves. The red bowls are Dave Kempthorne and the white bowls are Dave Poultney. And the umpire is Neil Burkett. And why Neil Burkett? Well, because I suppose normally the winner of the title the previous year would be given the honor of marking, but the winner of the title the previous year is on the green playing, defending his title, and second choice would have been Rob Owsley, the reigning South African Masters champion, and apparently he has already returned home. And so the honor went to Neil Burkett, who was the runner-up in the South African Masters this year, and who this morning annexed for the second time the South African pairs title. And 2 shots it was, so immediately Dave Poultney goes into the lead after 5 ends by 4 shots to 2. And quite an interesting story behind Neil Burkett's victory in the pairs this morning. He hadn't intended playing in the pairs. It was Monday morning and he'd just been knocked out of the singles, was having a drink with his opponent, and was invited to play in the pairs with one Danny Agras from the Glen Country Club in Cape Town, and refused politely on the grounds that he had already booked to go home that afternoon. But a little later, and perhaps in somewhat more mellow mood, he changed his mind, and so he and Danny Agras took to the greens. And how well they've played. They had a very, very narrow shave in the semi-finals yesterday afternoon, but apart from that, they have really chopped their opposition with great deliberation and great bowls. And this morning was no exception in the final, when they played Esmond White and Butt of ERPM and beat them by 25 shots to 10. And Dave Poultney, the white bowl, lying right on the jack, so Kempthorne is under pressure again, but he's used to that. He's so frequently come from being well down to win games that I'm quite sure he's not at all concerned at being down by 4 shots to 2. There you see some of the very excellent bank here this afternoon. There are a lot of people watching this bowls, and there'll be a lot more come 4:30, 4 o'clock perhaps even this afternoon. The greens have been crowded every afternoon, and the spectators have been rewarded with really some quite brilliant bowls. And I wouldn't be surprised if this particular tournament goes down in history as the tournament where players kept on coming from the back to win, and this morning was no exception in the senior singles final. when Ken Gibbon of the local Bergfleet club took on Nico Broekhuizen of Harlequins, and he was down by 17 shots to 7, and that 17 has an ominous ring about it too. There are a number of players who've reached 17 and then not made any progress, amongst them Ronnie Russell yesterday, who was up 17-8 against Dave Kempthorne and lost at 21-17. Well, this morning Nico Broekhuizen was up 17-7 against Ken Gibbon, and although he did manage to get another 2 shots, he went down by 21 shots to 19. And Kempthorne's bowl not quite getting up to the head. He's lying second shot. Looks like it's second shot anyway. Difficult to say whether that front bowl is in before the back bowl on the side. That front bowl is not as close as it looks on the screen, but he may very well be holding the second shot with that bowl.
Yes, Jeff, it is second shot, definitely.
And another very, very good delivery from Dave Pulteney. And now Dave Kempthorne under a little bit of pressure. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play with a fraction of running here into that head to see if he can get some movement on it. He's sticking to the backhand, and I suspect he's going to play with a bit of running. You can hardly see him drawing the shot here, but he is in fact drawing. He'll have to do very well to get a result out of this. He's tracking well, but he's just going to slip past, and it's certainly at least 2 shots. Yes, 2 shots it is to Pulteney, and he now leads by 6 shots to 2 after completion of the 6th end. Sixth then to Dave Pulteney against Dave Kempthorne after 6 ends. And we will go back to the action in the Pretoria High School Old Boys Wedgewood Park game, where Wedgewood Park is still leading by 4 shots to 0. Just completed the 3rd end. I didn't see what the count was, so we'll have to wait for the score to go up on the board. It was Wedgewood Park who scored. They scored a single. So Wedgewood Park, after 3 ends, lead by 5 shots to 0 against Pretoria High School Old Boys. And this really is a case of the destroyer baiting the battleship.
Yes, they are playing exceptionally well, Wedgewood Park, and they played well yesterday to beat Jewishfield. And they're on a very high at the moment, and are just going to try and do their very best, playing against such a player of Kevin Campbell's ability.
Yes, I was saying earlier that Wedgewood Park have reached the finals of the South African Fours on 3 previous occasions. It was 1964, 1977 and 1984, twice in East London and now twice in Cape Town. 1984 was in Cape Town, and not once have they managed to annex the title, so they're out to improve on their record today. There's a great deal at stake, and you can be quite sure that they're going to put everything into it, and at the moment they really have the PHS Old Boys side under the whip. They're playing excellent bowls.
Yes, they really are. They really feel that they've escaped to get this far through some tremendous games, and they really feel that this championship now belongs to them.
Well, Pretoria High School Old Boys might still have something to say about that. Mike Cecil, having delivered his bowl, watches it very carefully and sees it run through about 2 meters. His opposite number is Floris Toll, Northern Transvaal interprovincial player. And in fact, this is the same Pretoria High School Old Boys side exactly that were the runners-up last year, having gone down in a very, very tense and exciting final to Bill Mosley's Auckland Park. And so here they are, second time in a row, trying again for the elusive South African fours title. And I took a message for Kevin Campbell just before they went on the green that I'm sure encouraged him a great deal. It was from their official reserve, who'd not travelled with them, to say, would I please tell Kevin that whilst they weren't expecting him, he was in Cape Town and he'd be at the green shortly. So obviously, having seen them get through to the finals, he decided it would be worthwhile making the trip to be with them.
I think that's very nice to have your reserve here and supporting you. And I think Kevin has got a lot of support from Cape Town as well, because he actually stayed in Cape Town for a year.
Yes, he played at the Camps Bay Bowling Club when he was here. Probably found the greens a little difficult to what he was used to up country.
Yes, I'm sure he did, but he said it took him a whole year to get used to the Cape Town winds and their greens, and he said once he did that, he thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, PHSL boys could be lying 3 shots here. They're a long way away. They could be lying 3 shots. They're certainly lying 1. And the applause which you hear is for a 4 scored by Dave Kempthorne, and that levels matters in the singles to, no it doesn't, it puts him into the lead. So when I said that Pulteney scored a 2 on the previous end, that was a mistake. He only scored 1, so he was leading 5-2, and now Kempthorne has taken a 4 and leads by 6 shots to 5. Now we're with the third for PHS Old Boys, Chris de Swart. Having seen his opposite number draw the shot, his reply is that he's equally capable of drawing the shot, and he's done just that. So Dave Kolnick, again, a little pressure on him. He's drawn a good second shot, and I would think that his skip, Brian Lewis, would be very happy to see another bowl in the head there now, even if he doesn't get the shot.
Yes, they have to do that now, because if they don't, no doubt they will take that bowl out and be lying quite a few shots. And he's done just that, Jeff. He's put another one in.
Well, they're fairly close to each other. I suppose they could be vulnerable. They could both be taken out with 1 shot, but it's certainly an improvement on what the position was before. Another excellent bowl there from Chris de Swart, and Pretoria High School Old Boys lying 2 again. And here you have a replay of that last shot by Chris de Swart. Excellent draw, just swinging inside the bowl, getting a little bit of a lucky rub off it, but with perfect weight. And Brian Lewis, a little bit heavy, but he has to be up to the head here. I thought he might have considered changing hands and playing the forehand there, Cyril.
Yes, that wouldn't have been a bad shot to play, but I was speaking to Dave Lewis's third, who told me that he gets a line on a certain hand, and even if he only has a 10% chance on that particular hand, he would rather stick to it than play the other hand, even though he may have a 90% chance of getting the shot.
Well, I suppose that's one way of working out the percentages. It's not the way I would choose to do it, but it looks as if Kevin Campbell may have given the shot away here. He was a little on the heavy side there and shifted the jack. And Dave Kolnick, the Wedgewood Park third, having a good look at it. Brian Lewis is there in the head with him. Nobody's given any indication of which way the shot has gone, but I rather suspect that Wedgewood Park might be lying the shot now.
Yes, I agree with that. I think Kevin was a little tempted there to remove the bowls, the two opposition bowls out for quite a big score, and just played it a little narrow and got hold of the jack.
So what's Brian Lewis going to do now? He is going to change his hand this time. He's gone to the forehand. He has to draw around the front bowls. He can do anything here except be narrow. And another good bowl here from Lewis. He just didn't swing in time. He was perhaps a fraction heavy. Line wasn't bad, perhaps just a fraction heavy. And Kevin Campbell having a very good look at this one. And so is his third, Krista Swart, and neither of them's given any indication of who's lying the shot. So we're still a little bit in the dark, quite difficult to see on the screen which is the shot bowl. We suspect it's the one on the left at about 7 o'clock.
Chris, the SWAT has signalled that the shot is definitely against him, but only one shot down. So Wedgewood are lying one shot.
And if Kevin can get onto that set of bowls of his in the front on the forehand side with a little bit of running, he could promote a couple of them. He could also draw around them, which is exactly what he's doing, and he's drawing the shot here. He shifted that bowl slightly. He may have brought a few bowls in there by moving the shot bowl out, although I think Wedgewood Park have third shots still. It looks like 2 shots to Pretoria High School Old Boys to me. The measure comes out immediately. Nobody's moved anything yet. And I'm almost certain it's 1 shot and they must be measuring for second. Two shots it is to Pretoria High School Old Boys. So at the completion of the 5th end, the score becomes 5-2 in favour of Wedgewood Park. Meantime, the singles has gone on to the completion of the 8th end. Dave Kempthorne has picked up another single and now leads by 7 shots to 5. And we're going to move across to the singles for a moment to watch the action for a while. So Dave Kempthorne, a left-hander, drawing on his forehand. And what a way to start, Cyril.
Dave seems to be in tremendous form once again in this game, and he has mentioned how he doesn't like having to always come from behind and how much he would like to get ahead and stay there. So I can quite understand that. It's no fun having always to come from the back to win.
Well, I asked him yesterday whether he wasn't tired of getting out of jail, and he said hopefully they've thrown away the key of that jail. Pulteney's first bowl was a good 1.5 meters short, and Kempthorne sticking to his forehand. Bear in mind that he's a left-hander. And drawing another good one, just a fraction through. He perhaps have liked to have been a little closer than that. It looks on screen as if it's only about 20 centimeters away, but in fact the bowl's probably a good 1/2 to 3/4 of a meter away. It might even be a full meter away. And Pulteney obviously struggling with his weight a little bit here. Big adjustment there. That second bowl of his must be every bit of 4 meters heavier than his first bowl, which is a clear indication that he's struggling to find the weight.
Especially the way they're playing at the moment, because on the last head, of course, Dave picked up a 4, and he's well on his way to doing it again, because he's now lying 3 shots.
And that was an excellent shot. So Dave Pulteney under a lot of pressure here. Needs to get past his own front bowl. If he does, he's got a good bowl, but I don't think he's going to. Is he hooked on it? Yes, hooked on his own front bowl. Perhaps just a little short of running, half a meter of running.
Yes, he never had the weight, Jeff. He seems very anxious too, because he was running after his bowl. And that is the first sign that you are getting a little anxious when you start running after the bowl, that you are just starting to lose a little bit of rhythm on the mat. And all he's got to do now is cool down and compose himself.
Kempthorne drawing on the forehand again. No reason to change. I think he'd like to finish just slightly narrow of the jack and just in front of it, because there is a running shot on for Pulteney here, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to close that running shot. That's a brilliant bowl, that. The shot's half open now, but it's a lot more difficult than it was without the bowl there. Pulteney's playing it. Having a run at it. Can he get past his own front bowl? He does, but he finds the bowl that Dave Kempthorne put in there, and that really is the proof of what a good bowl it was, and played with tremendous accuracy, that semi-block.
Yes, he did that. He played that very well, but I also felt that Pulteney got on the mat very quickly to play that shot. Should have just taken his time and got his line, and a very good shot from Dave Kempthorne to now get another 3 shots.
So 3 shots to Kempthorne, 10-5 he leads after 9 ends.
How do you see it, David?
So yeah, we're going to see a replay of that shot, and again you get a chance to see how well Dave Kempthorne played putting that block in, because that bowl was right on target. Take that bowl away and the head would have been smashed open and possibly even burned, but certainly Dave Kempthorne would not have picked up a 3. And those are some of the upcountry visitors, foreign hat bands, foreign to Cape Town, that is. A lot of people have stayed on here to watch these finals. Not least amongst them my colleague in the commentary box, Cyril Lohana, who's from George Lee Park in Johannesburg. Stayed on to do the commentary and have the pleasure of watching the superlative bowls which we've seen on the last 2 days.
Did you hit the shot ball?
Yes, I've enjoyed my stay in Cape Town, and just wish it was going on a little longer, Jeff.
And again, Pulteney's under a little pressure. Kempthorne lying the shot and not quite getting the shot, I don't think. I think Kempthorne is still lying. They've asked Neil Burkett. And in fact, Dave Pulteney has drawn the shot. It was Dave Kempthorne that asked the question and was given the answer that the shot was against him. So a little work for him to do here. He's leading by 10 shots to 5. And has he gone too heavy? No, I don't think he has. He may be drawing the shot there. No, he's gone through just a fraction too far. Very difficult to see on screen. Bowl looks closer than it is. And I suspect that Dave Pulteney is still lying. Yes, Neil Burkett has a look at it and indicates to him, to Dave Pulteney, that he's still lying the shot. That bowl slightly narrow at about 2 o'clock. That's the shot bowl. It doesn't look as if it is on screen, but it is. And he's playing the forehand, trying to get round that front bowl of Dave Kempthorne's and draw another shot, perhaps jack level or just behind the jack. And he's played with good weight. I don't think he's got another shot, but he's matched Kempthorne's back bowl. And it was certainly a very good try. He couldn't afford to be the least little bit narrow there, because if he touches Kempthorne's front bowl, he will turn it in for the shot. The bowl on the right is Kempthorne's, and it's not very far short of being the shot. The bowl on the left is the shot. The applause which we hear for yet another good shot by the Wedgewood skip, Brian Lewis, who's having an outstanding week. And that was the completion of the 5th end of the 4s. And waiting for the score to go up. 7-2 it is to Wedgewood Park. So a 2 to Wedgewood Park there. And obviously a good shot by Ryan Lewis. And equally so on the game we're watching, a very good shot by Dave Kempthorne, who's drawn the shot, got just inside Dave Pulteney's shot bowl. He's almost jack level. He's just slightly lower of the jack and slightly narrow of it, but very much closer than Dave Pulteney's bowl. There you see it. And an excellent drawing shot indeed. Very, very good weight control. Dave Pulteney looks a little concerned. He has anxiety etched on his face, and he's played with a bit of running here, and he's not going to get inside that bowl, but he does move the jack with it. And indeed, what has happened here? The jack's gone to the side. He may well have the shot here, and Dave Kempthorne concedes the shot. So one shot it is to Dave Pulteney. A little bit lucky there, perhaps.
Yes, he was a little lucky, but he had the best back bowls, and I noticed that Pulteney is under a little bit of pressure here, Jeff. Would you say so? By the way, he's running after his bowl as he delivers the bowl.
Yeah, he's getting onto the mat. He's got an anxious look on his face too. He's always, as he gets onto the mat, he looks worried, and that seems to be a sign that he's not entirely happy with his game, and also, of course, that Kempthorne's keeping him under pressure all the time.
Well, it's a different looking Pulteney to who played Bill Mosley in the semi-final, because Pulteney was very much in control, staying on the mat and not running after his bowls as much as he has been this afternoon.
Yeah, he looked very relaxed against Mosley yesterday. But of course, he's played Dave Kempthorne so many times, and he knows that Dave knows his game so well. And when you're up against the master and you're the pupil, I suppose there's always this feeling of, can I beat him? And that starts the concern. I think that's probably an attitude one always has, Cyril, until you've won a major title, singles title. You always have this concern about whether you're quite good enough to beat the guys who keep on winning them, because in the main it's the same few guys who win most of these tournaments.
Yes, that is quite correct, but all you have to do is win one, and it makes you realize that it's no different to playing the first round of any championship, because even if you drew them in the first round, you'd have to play them. So I think once you've won a tournament, you realize that it's not that difficult.
Well, Dave Kempthorne there found it, Dave Pulteney found it a little difficult, didn't control his weight. I think Dave Kempthorne is lying again, and once again it's this direction, running away from our commentary box, with the wind slightly behind, that is causing Dave Pulteney the problems, and he seems to be carrying just a little bit too much weight all the time, and perhaps it's the wind. And Dave Kempthorne, as you see there, has the weight absolutely taped going that way. He's been right on top of the jack with most of his bowls for the last 3 ends in this direction. Having picked up a 4 and a 3 on the previous 2 ends in this direction, he must be feeling very confident. And once again, Pulteney running through a good 2 meters there. If he hadn't hit that bowl, he would have been at least 2 meters through, maybe more.
Yes.
And again, the head building up very badly against him. He's played 3 bowls. Kempthorne's lying 2 shots. Dave Pulteney doesn't have a bowl really in the head. He has 3 bowls at the back. The jack is sitting right in front of one of Dave Kempthorne's bowls, and doesn't look as if it's going to be too easy to get the jack to the back. And that bowl behind the jack's just fallen over, which will make it even more difficult. If Pulteney hits it now, it's likely to go sideways and not backwards. It may even jump forward. So I would think that he's probably going to draw for second shot here.
Yes, he has to do that, Jeff. He can't afford to drop another 3 here.
It's a better bowl, and he does spring the jack slightly, and it looks as if it is still Kempthorne's shot, and maybe 2 shots. And Dave Kempthorne still has a bowl to play, and if he's lying 2 shots already and another bowl to play, the probabilities are he's been playing this direction so well that he's going to pick up another 3 here.
Well, this is a case of Kempthorne now going ahead, and this is the position he said he'd love to be in. He doesn't want to come from behind anymore, and he's certainly now putting on the pressure now, and I can't see him not drawing another shot the way he's playing that particular hand and the direction in which he's playing.
He's falling onto your shot ball, working off it.
Oh, he's fallen way short, Jeff.
Well, they always say you've got to be up to take the bonus. And if you're not up and you lose the bonus, it's really like throwing them away, isn't it? And in this caliber of bowls, it's not a wise thing to throw away gift shots.
Well, it certainly isn't, because Dave is one to know more than anyone that a person can come from behind. He's done it. So when you get that opportunity, one should try and take it.
So 12-6. Dave Kempthorne leads Dave Pulteney. And now we are back with the fours for the moment. 12-6 in the singles after 11 ends. Dave Kempthorne leading Dave Pulteney. The fours were in the final stages of the 6th end. Wedgewood Park are leading by 7 shots to 2. They may be lying 2 shots here. It looks like 2 shots. On the screen, they're at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock respectively, just in front of the jack. The other 3 bowls in that tight little bundle are all Pretoria High School Old Boys bowls. Bear in mind, Pretoria High School Old Boys are the white colour and Wedgewood Park are red.
Brian Lewis has put in a very good bowl here, because the bowls will lock if Kevin has a bit of a run at them, and if he does happen to catch the shot bowls, the jack will spring out to that bowl that you see very wide on the right of your screen there. So that was a very good positional bowl.
Yes, in many ways those protective bowls are the most difficult ones to play, aren't they, Cyril?
Yes, they are, but I believe that Brian Lewis is a very good snooker player, and he knows all the angles where these things can go, and they tell me he represented his province at snooker, not only snooker, but a lot of other major sports as well.
Yes, I think I heard that he had interprovincial colours in 4 sports before he turned to bowls, and now he's got his interprovincial colours for bowls as well, so that would make 5. That really makes him something of an all-rounder, doesn't it?
Oh yes, no question about that.
Well, he now has another bowl to play. He's changed his hand. He's gone to the backhand. He's satisfied that the position is protected at the back, and he's going to try and draw another shot here. He's not badly down. Not quite. Still 2 shots. Hasn't done any damage.
The only thing he has done, Jeff, he's just pushed the jack slightly further out, and Kevin is the sort of bowler that can really just come round his short little bowl in front, if the viewers are watching on the screen, and just peel the jack off.
Well, he'll have to play a very good shot to do that, and if he's a little bit heavy, then I think that Wedgewood Park are protected. They have a bowl behind, which the jack is likely to go to if Kevin Campbell is that fraction heavy. But certainly a very, very interesting shot here. And down 7-2 already after 5 ends. Kevin won't want to drop another 2 years. In fact, having a bit of a run at it. And he's too wide. Misses it. 2 shots it is to Wedgewood Park. 9-2 after 6 ends they lead.
Jeff, you've played against Kevin Campbell, particularly in the Gordon's Gin, and you know those shots from Kevin are not as impossible as they seem to some bowlers.
No, Kevin's quite capable of playing any particular shot, but he didn't actually play for the draw on the jack there. He played, I think, to try and peel it off and take it to the back. He was just that fraction wide. And we've noticed before that this hand seems to hang just that little fraction. Yesterday afternoon, we noticed this is the rink that
was the
Jewish
downfall
Guild
of Jewish
BP
Guild.
played on yesterday afternoon, and they lost that last head through this hand hanging out a little bit. They were playing in the other direction, true, but the hand hangs a fraction both ways. So, Wedgewood Park, 9-2 up after 6 ends. And Mike Cecil, their lead. Another good bowl here from him. Excellent bowl. Playing shortish ends. It's well short of a 3/4 end, this. And in the singles, Dave Pulteney's just picked up a 2 on the 12th end, so the score is now 12 shots to 8 in favour of Kempthorne. And now they're playing again in the direction which has been Dave Pulteney's nemesis for a while. What Dave Pulteney has done in the singles, just to digress for a moment as I looked away over it, is he's lengthened the head and he's put his first bowl right on top of the jack. So perhaps he's going to find it in the direction in which he's been struggling. But our attention, of course, is riveted to the 4s, and still Wedgewood Park lying shot. Bowl right on the jack, touching the jack. And it's their second, Errol Rakusen.
Yes, Pulteney decided to throw the jack where his bowls were going. Rather than adjust his weight on the bowls, he adjusted it on the jack, Jeff.
And another good bowl here from Wedgewood Park. Excellent bowl from Errol Rakusen. A little bit of a catch out on the wing there, and giving PHSL boys something to work off, as you saw Kevin Campbell indicating there to his second, that he could come off the outside bowl, pick up the jack and move it to a PHSL boys bowl. Well, that's very well in theory, but it still has to be done in practice, and he's not far off, let me tell you. He's got the shot. He just moved the shot bowl away without moving the jack. I think Brian Lewis would be quite happy to see that shot bowl go where it did, because it's in a protective position now. Good protective position. Just needs a touch on the shot bowl to spring the jack back, or perhaps even to draw that shot bowl off on the backhand. Might be feasible without moving the jack. Touch on the jack wouldn't do any harm. He's got another bowl in position, so perhaps the backhand shot is preferable, and that is in fact what Errol Rakusen has played now. Is he going to get the jack? Is he going to touch it? Oof. So very, very close. He just needed to touch that jack. He would have pushed it across to his own bowl on the right-hand side. And there, Errol Rakusen obviously bemoaning his fortune a little bit. His shoulders slumped and almost as though to say, I can't believe I missed it. So easy it is to miss them. And this one's well through the head, which is where Kevin Campbell asked for the bowl. He was looking for a protective bowl there to make quite sure that he doesn't give away a big count here. And so PHS Old Boys retain the shot as the thirds come up to play their bowls, and it'll be the third for Wedgewood Park who kicks off, Dave Kolnick. And a very hot day in Cape Town. Nice cool water. Perhaps the gentleman sitting behind the water wouldn't mind a drink of nice cold water out of that container. And that's Kolnick of Wedgewood Park. It's bowl running through the head there. And now it's Chris de Swart. And that's another very good bowl indeed. They may be lying 2 shots now. And over on the singles, it looks like another 2 to Dave Pulteney, so he's closing the gap. The gap is down to 12-10 after 13 ends in the singles. Yes, 12-10 it is after 13 ends in the singles, so the gap between Pulteney and Kempthorne has closed considerably. Here the gap stays on the 4s at 7 shots, but Pretoria High School Old Boys are, I think, lying 2 shots. And it'll need a little of the Brian Lewis magic again to get them out of trouble here, I think.
Yes, a drive at those 2 bowls would not come off badly, because they will both go, possibly without touching the jack. They are blocking it, and I'm sure this is what they've seen, because
it might not have come across far enough, Cyril. They might still be able to get to it on the backhand.
Yes, on the backhand, but it was before that. I would have thought it would have been on the forehand.
The easier shot on the forehand, yes, but
That's
still
right.
visible on the backhand, and maybe the only option that Brian Lewis really has at the moment, other than the dead draw, which again still a touch on that jack would give him the shot. His front rank and his third were fairly close to it in their attempt, so maybe
he's going for that line. If you saw him on the screen there moving the players away, he bowls to a line, a mark on the bank.
He's drawing, Cyril.
No, he's got that little bit of weight to punch that jack.
Just not going to swing in time.
No.
And that's exactly what all the other attempts to find that jack have done, and it's a very similar type of thing to what happened to Jewish Guild Balfour Park yesterday afternoon, when they were trying to get in on that hand and found the bowl just slipping away wide all the time.
It just would not come back to the head, especially if it just had that little extra weight.
It'd be interesting to see what shot Brian Lewis decides to play with his second bowl, whether he tries the draw again or whether he has a run at it. But before he gets there, Kevin Campbell gets an opportunity, and is he playing the draw? He's looking for that 3rd shot bowl, and he may well find it. He's very well bowled here. If he touched it, he would have given the shot away. If he touched it on the outside, he would have turned it in, I think, for shot, but he just missed it. He's looking for it square to push it through the head for 3. And now Brian Lewis again. Is he going to draw? Is he going to have a little bit of a run at it? He's played too wide and too heavy.
Oh, that's far too wide, Jeff.
I think he knew the moment he released that bowl that he was on the wrong line altogether for the shot he was looking for. So it looks like Pretoria High School Old Boys will close the gap here unless Kevin makes a mistake, and he's still looking for that same bowl on the draw. And has he played it better this time? He was so close the first time, he might well get it this time. No, not quite. And it's certainly 1 shot, and they're having a good look at it. One out. And 1 only, it looks like. Kevin Campbell kicked the jack away, so I assume that it was only 1 shot and that it's 9 shots to 3 after 7 ends. So far on the scoreboard, they've put up that we've played 7 ends. And let's see how many shots. We think it was only, no, it was in fact 2 shots. So it's 9-4 after 7 ends. Wedgewood Park leading. Over on the singles, there is 1 bowl to come in the 14th end. Dave Pulteney, I think, is lying the shot again. Dave Kempthorne has 2nd shot, but he's got a very difficult shot to play here, Dave Kempthorne, because his 2nd shot bowl is locked on the shot bowl, and if he touches it, his 2nd shot bowl will go out. So the probability is that Pulteney will pick up another shot there, but we'll tell you about that in a moment. Let's just concentrate on the 4s with Mike Cecil about to bowl. His opposite number, Floris Toll, has put one pretty close to the jack. And the length of the head has been considerably increased, and found him out a fraction, I think. He's dropped about 1.5 meters to 2 meters short. About 1.5 meters short, and just the change in the length of the head.
Kevin also asked his lead to bring up the mat 1 extra meter, and this is a very tactical move on Kevin's behalf, which he normally does when they're struggling, and it'll be interesting to see now who manages to handle this a little better.
Well, Fleurs Toll with his second bowl certainly didn't handle it. He dropped well short. He's about 3.5 meters short. And one shot it was to Dave Pulteney in the singles. And was it 2? Yes, 2 shots. So 12 all in the singles now. 12 all after 14 ends. So very, very tight game in the singles. Charles Grindley, and he's finished about 1 meter and a bit short, 1.25 meters short.
How'd you like it, Errol?
Not getting any easier for Errol Rakusen to get in there. And he's really continuing to play the backhand. There's an open draw on the other hand, which seems to be indicative of the fact that the players are a little bit worried about the way that hand hangs out. Because there's an open draw there. On the backhand, he has a bowl to get round, and the shot bowl is slightly short of the jack, but he's very well bowled here if he bends in time. Not quite. He finds the shot bowl, turns it in, and it would really seem, Cyril, that they're not too happy about the other hand, because I would have thought the obvious shot was on the other hand.
Well, it certainly is now. So we'll see now whether they are prepared to try that. I don't see why it's that difficult now, because it is bending a little bit, and I'm sure they'll try it now.
Another short bowl,
Right stiff on the weight.
and certainly that's blocked the backhand. They have to go to the forehand now, and Brian Lewis indicating to his second Errol Rakusen that he must change his hand now. There's no way through on the backhand anymore. So he goes to the forehand. He's a little on the heavy side, but he might turn his own bowl in. Yeah, no, he doesn't. He turns it right through the head and out of the head, in fact. And now it could be a measure for second shot, although I don't think so. I think they're still holding second shot, but it's a long way away.
Yes, he played that with a lot of weight. It just needed a draw around there to get that bend. And not having played that hand that much, I suppose he was a little bit worried it might be a little heavier.
And now it's Christa Swart also trying that forehand. Could be that there's quite a difference in pace between the two hands. It seemed possible that the hand which Christa Swart is playing now, which is the forehand coming in this direction, is a little quicker than the other hand. The bowls played on that hand have run through the head. Bowls played on the backhand have finished short. This is a better one. He's in the count. The applause, though, is for some action over in the singles, where Dave Pulteney's just played a very good shot. And now Dave Kolnick tries this forehand. He's got a very good line. It all depends on whether he runs it out here. If he runs it out, he's going to be pretty close. Well, he certainly got the second shot. Just finishing about 0.5 meter short.
That bend wasn't all that bad, Jeff, and it is running, according to the Jewish Guild boys, there was a 2 yards difference in the running speed of the two hands yesterday.
Well, Christa Swart's gone back to the other hand, and he's beautifully bowled here. He's coming right round the front bowl, but has he got the running to get up? No, he hasn't. He hasn't, so Wedgewood Park still holding the second shot. And this time, Dave Kolnick's too heavy. He put on a lot too much weight. He's going to lose this one in the ditch. He didn't need that kind of weight. He needed to roll his own bowl twice, and it was just a half a meter extra on his previous bowl would have done the trick. Instead of which he put on a great deal of weight, went right round the head and lost it in the ditch. Kevin Campbell on the backhand draw, I think trying to promote one of his own front bowls. Is he? Oh, he's got right through everything. Where's his bowl finished? Oh, it's gone right through the head, hasn't changed the position at all. Slipped right through. He was narrow. Didn't get the result he wanted. He was looking for his own front bowl to turn it up, I'm sure. As a bowl at almost at 12 o'clock in front of the jack, which he was trying to turn up. 12 o'clock to us, between 6 and 7 o'clock to you on the screen. We're looking at it from the other side, so it's 7 o'clock on the screen. And Kevin trying again. Will he try for that bowl again, or is he going to try and get right round on the draw this time? Oh, this time he's found the port beautifully. And he's well bowled there. He shifted the jack a little bit, but he must be lying 2 shots now. And Dave Kolnick immediately calls his skip Brian Lewis up to come and have a look at the head. And be an interesting head to have a look at. And there you see the 2 shots. The one on the left at about 8 o'clock and the one immediately in front of the jack. And not an easy shot here for Brian Lewis to play. I think he's contemplating having a bit of a run at it on the backhand. Just trying to find the port between 2 front bowls and get onto the shot bowl. Not an easy shot. There you see him indicating the kind of shot he wants to play. He has 2 options there. He can come through the inside port and try and look for the shot bowl, or through the outside port and try and turn his own bowl in. Difficult situation for him. We need really need a little bit of the Brian Lewis magic here, I think.
Yes, he's going to have a full run at it, Jeff, and let's see what happens.
He's going to foul on the front bowl. Depends where it goes. No, it doesn't go anywhere. Ah, turned one of his own bowls in, though, as it went past, and he's got second shot out of it, Cyril.
Yes.
Well, they say that fortune favours the brave, and I'm sure that that's a perfect example of it. He had a fairly brave run at it and got a bit of luck and finished up with a second shot. Meanwhile, over on the singles, things have progressed to 15 ends, and after 15 ends, 13-10 it is to Pulteney, 13-12 to Pulteney after 15 ends. 13-12, there the scoreboard is, 13-12, Pulteney leads Kempthorne, so he's come from 12-6 down to lead 13-12, and at the moment Kempthorne is lying the shot. Pulteney's playing his last bowl. He's played with a little bit of running. I think he's looking for the shot bowl, but he's gone a fraction narrow, and he may turn another bowl in here for another shot. No, he doesn't. He almost came off it onto the shot bowl, but just slipped through for nothing. And now an opportunity again for Dave Kempthorne to pick up the bonus shot. Not an easy one to pick up, because Pulteney has a bowl about 25 centimeters from the jack. And only 1 to him, so after 16 ends the score is 13 all. So 13 all it is, and Dave Kempthorne, see how he changes the length of this head. Well, he hasn't shortened it as much as I thought he might.
No, he's put it back right where Pulteney threw it originally. Now it'll be interesting to see what actually happens.
And there you see a shot of a hang glider. This is a very popular spot for hang gliding. They come off the mountain on the right-hand side off Lion's Head, and they land on the sports fields on the Greenpoint Common over on the left of the screen. And there you see one of the hang gliders just coming in for a three-point landing. And Dave Kempthorne doesn't get a three-point landing. He finishes about 3 meters through the head.
Yes, he missed the beach altogether and landed in the sea.
Well, if there's one of them flying, we'll no doubt see more of those hang gliders yet. It's the right kind of afternoon for it. It's warm, and there's just a gentle breeze, so they can get a bit of lift. And Pulteney's lying the shot. Kempthorne is short on the draw, over adjusting for the weight.
Take about 1.5 meters off, you'll find it nicely.
Another good-looking bowl coming here from Pulteney. Better than his first. Just touches the jack. He ran through a little further than I thought he was going to. But he may still be well lying 2 shots. And the pressure is back on Kempthorne. Tall, elegant, left-handed South African singles champion, reigning champion, defending his title. And not finding it the easiest thing to do at the moment. And I don't think he's got the shot there. I think that Pulteney's still lying the shot. He needed to push that bowl a little further to get the shot. And Burkett's having a look at it. Let's just see what he says. And he says that Pulteney is lying the shot. He has an indicator, which he held up there, the white indicator. And Dave Pulteney again drawing on the forehand. He doesn't want to be narrow here. If he's narrow, he could turn his opponent in, but he's on a good line. He was a fraction short. Turned the bowl slightly sideways. He may have given the shot away there. Yes. Neil Burkett is indicating, for the benefit of the spectators, that now Kempthorne is lying shot. It's not quite as clear-cut as it looks on the screen there, but certainly Kempthorne is lying the shot, and he'd be very happy that Pulteney helped him up a little bit there.
Yes, and Kempthorne has to get another shot close here, because if he doesn't, Pulteney will have a very good shot to play on the forehand to turn his bowls in, and if he's slightly narrow, take out his bowl.
Well, it looks like a good bowl from Kempthorne, this. Yes, he just gets a little rub off the shot bowl, and he may well be lying 2 shots now. If not, he's certainly got another bowl in the head. There's Burkett having a look at it, and let's see what signal he gives. He's got the little markers in his hand. He holds up 2 shots to red, so that's 2 to Kempthorne. So the pressure's back on Pulteney. 13 all after 16 ends, and he's narrow here. That bowl is going to dip away. 2 shots it is to Kempthorne. Kempthorne now leads by 15 shots to 13. Well, Pulteney asking for a measure on the second one. No, he's decided to concede it, and 2 shots it is to Dave Kempthorne. 15-13 Kempthorne leads after 17 ends. Over on the 4s, they're still playing the 9th end, and Wedgewood Park are leading by 9 shots to 4. Kempthorne keeping the length fairly full. It's about a 3/4 end, maybe a little more. Got that bowl away very smoothly. Just a question of whether it finishes. Oh, he's cut across a little, but he didn't quite find the line, and he was a fraction heavy. So an opportunity for Pulteney here to put the pressure on to Kempthorne if he can find the right line and weight. And he's tracking on the right line. It's a question of whether he has the right weight. Good bowl, finishing jack level. It doesn't quite look it on the screen, but it is. It's jack level. And it's about 15 centimeters away. So in the fours, the 9th end has been completed. Pretoria High School Old Boys have scored a single. So Wedgewood Park lead by 9 shots to 5 after 8 ends.
Onto the right.
Meantime, Dave Kempthorne has drawn the shot in the singles, and he's lying shot just behind the jack. A good bowl here from Pulteney. Very good bowl. Turns the shot bowl away and lies 2. So the pressure's right back on Dave Kempthorne again. He's asking the marker whether the shot bowl's jack level. It is. He's going to change his hand. He's going to play up to the shot bowl, either to rest the shot bowl or pick up the jack and take it to his back bowls. He's played with a little bit of running. Question of whether he holds up long enough. There, the bowl beginning to bend.
On a very good line.
Well bowled here. And perhaps a little unlucky there. He hasn't quite got the shot. He was a little unlucky. He might have touched both bowls there, but Pulteney's still lying 1. If that bowl had held up another fraction of a second, Cyril, he would have taken them both out. He would have got a touch off the outside.
Yes, he would have done that.
Taken the back one out as well.
Or if he'd just caught it a little fuller, Jeff, he would have stayed for shot. So he was very unlucky there.
Take your time, Mike. Just relax. Go and light him up.
Pulteney now changes his hand too. Drawing on the backhand. Looking a little narrow to me. And not getting up to the jack either. He is just fractionally narrow. His line was actually very good, but he's not up. He's about, a little more than a metre short of the jack, and so Dave Pulteney has an opportunity to get in on that backhand again. Very colourful, I must say, the spectators around the green. Even the men are getting quite bold these days. I saw one with yellow trousers, bright yellow. And Dave Kempthorne short, and he won't be too happy about that bowl. So an opportunity here for Dave Pulteney to level the scores again if he can get another one in. He's lying 1. Needs a good draw here to get another shot in. He's on much the same road that he was on last time. And is he too heavy? He could do himself harm if he's too heavy and he touches his own bowl out. Well, he touched one out and finished inside it himself, and so 1 shot it is to him. So 15-14 after 18 ends. Kempthorne leads. The 2 Lady Brand players, great friends, locked in a titanic struggle for the South African singles crown. Kempthorne, no doubt, desperately wants to secure it for a 2nd year running. And equally so, Dave Pulteney, who's never won the title before, would like to win it for the first time. Dave Pulteney played in the Masters in 1988 and 1990. He reached the semi-finals of the South African singles in Pretoria in 1987 when he lost to the eventual winner, Nino Alberto. And he's the 1989 Southern Free State Singles Champion of Champions. Up against a man who played in the Masters from 1974 to 1976 and then was left out until 1980 when he came back until 1986. He was omitted again somewhat surprisingly in 1987, but came back in 1989 and 1989 and 1990. He's twice been a bronze medalist in the Masters and once the beaten semi-finalist. And Dave Pulteney, not in the least but overawed by the record of his illustrious opponent, has the temerity to draw 2 shots and put the pressure fairly and squarely on Dave Kempthorne, who looks as if he's a little wide and heavy here. Well, he certainly was fouled on his own front bowl, and if he was trying to promote the front bowl, he had the right weight. If he wasn't, he was a few meters heavy.
Yes, that bowl was right in his eye. He's actually done himself a favour by moving it, actually, which will give him a chance with the next 2 bowls to stop Dave Pulteney getting a 3.
Well, Pulteney's drawn the 3rd one, and this one's the closest of them all. That's the shot. And he's well bowled here, Cyril. Can he stop in time? That's all. He's got the beautiful line, but no, he's running too far. And still Dave Pulteney lies 3 shots. Lovely line Dave Kempthorne had there. Be interesting to see what shot he plays with his next bowl. He may be very tempted to play the forehand, where he has a bowl to rest on, and he may play it with just a little bit of running to play a chop and lie shot.
I think a lot depends on how Dave's bowls, Pulteney bowls finishes now. If he makes it,
well, he's made 4 shots out of it and a bit of a target.
I would say that that would be the shot he would elect to play now. And he could very well score a couple of shots out of it.
You know what they say, Cyril, holes are bigger than bowls, and there's just one gap there where if Kempthorne plays the running shot on the forehand, he could just go through the gap without touching anything.
Not if he uses weight where the bowl will start to bend, Jeff. If he has a full go, I think he'll play a very controlled running shot.
He has. Is he narrow? Oh, he was a little bit lucky there, and in fact he hasn't got any result at all. It's 4 shots to Dave Pulteney, and I think Kempthorne needed both a touch of grass and a little more weight for the shot he wanted there. He played it just a fraction too delicately, and 4 shots it is to Dave Pulteney, who now jumps into the lead by 18 shots to 15 and is in sight of victory. 3 shots on the next end would give him the South African singles title. Again, a fairly full head. Something behind Dave Kempthorne disturbed him there momentarily. He stopped for a moment. I think it's the umpire cleaning the board behind him. They've now played 19 ends and getting very near to the bottom of the board, and the umpire is anticipating that they will go beyond the 21st end. Dave Pulteney might have other ideas about that.
Yes, he's put in a very good first bowl, and Dave has now all the pressure once again back on him.
Kempthorne sticking to that backhand coming this way. He's played that side of the green most of the time. And just a good-looking bowl, but I'm not sure that he's going to stop. Yes, he is. Good weight, and the shot drawn by Dave Kempthorne, just slightly jack high, just behind the jack. And slightly to the right of it on your screen. Now it's to the left of it. That's the shot bowl on the left, and Dave Pulteney too heavy here. Perhaps a little over anxious to make sure that he's not short.
Yes, he's quite right, because he might want to at some stage have a run at Dave Kempthorne's bowl, and if he gets the jack, he has a bowl in position.
And Dave Kempthorne putting in a bowl right in line with the jack, but he's over a metre short. That might stop the running shot to take the jack back, and it may in fact turn out to be quite a useful bowl. Kempthorne still lying. Pulteney on the forehand draw.
He's on a very good track, Jeff. I don't know if he has the weight, but he certainly has the line.
And a very good bowl from Dave Pulteney. Brings him the shot. Dave Kempthorne changing his hand. He's looking for the shot bowl here. He may do himself a disservice by turning his own bowl out. He has. And that certainly has given Dave Pulteney an opportunity to draw the third shot that he needs for game. So Dave Kempthorne played with a little bit of weight there. He took a bit of a chance. He was looking for the shot bowl. He found his own second shot instead. Turned it out. And the moment of truth, I think, has arrived for Dave Pulteney. He needs to take this chance. He may not get another one.
That is quite right, Jeff. I'm quite sure he's concentrating now. He's given it his all, and he wants to get in there now and sew this game up right now. He's running after it. He's half running after it, and he likes it.
Just a question of the running, Cyril. He may just
He's got
stop.
the running.
He's got the running for the third shot. Yes, he's in.
He's drawn game.
So Dave Pulteney lies game. And Dave Kempthorne needs to play a pretty good shot to save the situation. 18-15. Dave Pulteney leads. He's lying 3 shots in game. He stands on the threshold of winning the national singles title. And yet I wouldn't put any money on him doing it whilst Kempthorne has a bowl in his hand.
That's a very good comment, Jeff, because we'll know the answer very shortly.
Kempthorne drawing. Has he got the running? Is he going to be up? He's going to slip past, is he? He slipped right through. 3 shots it is to Dave Pulteney. And he gets a tremendous hug from Dave Kempthorne. Dave Kempthorne, I think, could not have been more delighted if he'd won the title himself than he is. He's a great sportsman, and you can see the delight written all over his face that Dave Pulteney has won the South African singles title. 21 shots to 15 over 20 ends, and finishing it off in grand style with a 1, a 4 and a 3 over the last 3 ends to go from 15-13 down to 21-15 and the national singles title.
Still a wonderful achievement of Dave Kempthorne's to have won it last year, and in the final again this year. He certainly has stamped himself as one of the top players in South Africa in the singles.
So the trophy that goes to Dave Pulteney is the British International Floating Trophy, and along with it will go a considerable sum of money, which no doubt will ease the pain slightly of having played bowls for well over 2 weeks, because Dave Pulteney took part in a mini Masters tournament for 3 days immediately ahead of the national tournament. He was in the 4s right up to the last 16. He's been in the singles the whole way through, and he told me just before he came on the green that what he needs most of all after all this is a bit of a rest from bowls, and I think he'd probably take a day or 2 off, Cyril.
Yes, I'm sure, and I think we all of us are going to do that. I'd like to tell listeners that Jeff Weinberg, although be my co-commentator, has finished in the last 16 of the South African singles, and just a few days prior to the tournament beginning, he participated in the Gordon's Gins Classic in Cape Town and won his 6 games in a row in the section to get right up into the semi-finals. So I might one of these days become the commentator and Jeff will become the player.
Well, who knows? Little stranger things have happened. But now we're going to turn our attention to the fours. And there is a titanic struggle developing. They've played 10 ends. Wedgewood Park are leading by 9 shots to 6. But gradually, Pretoria High School Old Boys are whittling away, chipping away at the Wedgewood Park lead. They're not picking up any big counts, but they've just gradually been chipping away at the lead, and now they're lying 2 shots. Wedgewood Park were leading by 9 shots to 2, and Pretoria High School Old Boys have scored 2, a 1, and a 1, and a 1 to get up to 9 shots to 6. And now I think Dave Kolnick's played a very, very good bowl indeed. Yes, he has. He's got the shot. And Brian Lewis, his skip, no doubt breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that bowl coming into the head, turning the shot bowl away and taking its place. And now it's Chris de Swart, the third for Pretoria High School Old Boys. He's looking for that shot bowl, but I think he's a fraction wide. Finds his own bowl, turns it through the head. He does open the jack up away from the shot bowl, and that perhaps will give Kevin Campbell a better chance. Wedgewood Park are now lying 2 and a measure for a third, according to skip Brian Lewis. But he's looking for a back bowl, because that's where the danger is. And you can see him indicating with his duster where he wants the bowl, because Kevin Campbell could trail that jack for 3 or 4 shots. And Dave Kolnick needs to play a good bowl here. Has he got the running to get round behind? He has indeed. He's played a brilliant bowl, absolutely brilliant. That's just exactly where Brian Lewis was holding his duster, and that was a perfect protective shot.
Yes, it was, and Kevin now, who's a master of these shots, will probably prove Dave Lewis correct in having put that bowl there, because he will go for the slight chop and lie shot or the kitty trail.
Kevin Campbell, who needs no introduction to anyone. He's reigned supreme in the South African bowling scene for so many years. He's a little narrow this time, but look at the result. Look at the result. I think he may still be 1 shot down. The players are looking at it. Both bowls may in fact be touching the jack. There may be no shot at this stage. No, Dave Kolnick is satisfied that he's lying the shot, that his side is lying the shot. He thought his skip, Brian Lewis, was up at the other end. He indicated that he was lying the shot. And no doubt Kevin Campbell wasn't too amused at that, because Brian Lewis was standing right next to Dave Kolnick. But it just shows the intensity of concentration when you're playing at this level, and it's absolutely necessary.
I don't think Wedgewood are very upset about that fortunate rub of Kevin's, for one reason. They've had so many of them. They had to realize it had to happen to them sooner or later.
Yes, well, Brian Lewis told me that his biggest concern was that he was going to become called Lucky Lewis, and he said he certainly had more than his fair share of luck in this tournament. And indeed, yesterday against Jewish Guild Balfour Park, I can remember at least 2 occasions on which they had a great deal of luck, but there was certainly no luck about the way they drew the 5, which won them the game on the last end.
Yes, no, that was a brilliant piece of strategy on behalf of Wedgewood. They just kept plugging them in, and unfortunately Jewish Girl just certainly lost a little concentration on that, on some of their shots there.
So Brian Lewis just, I think, going to go around to the back and protect. There doesn't seem to be a great deal else that he can do, and the very back bowl is a Pretoria High School Old Boys bowl. Is he going to stay on the green? No, he's not. He's obviously trying to get a back bowl in. Problematical here whether Kevin Campbell will have a run at this. That jack could go anywhere from there, Cyril. And
yes,
the bowls are pretty well distributed.
He can't draw it because that bowl, there's a bowl short in his eye on the draw with that hand swinging the way it is. He may have a run at it and try and chip it out.
Be very interesting to see what happens here. He's playing the forehand.
And he's playing it with a lot of weight. Yes, he's playing that shot.
Fouled on a front bowl. And he comes off it and takes his own bowl out. And now Wedgewood could be lying 2 or 3 shots. Probably 2 in a measure. And Brian Lewis still has a bowl to play. I think Dave Kolnick's asking him to play the backhand draw as the safer of the two shots. And Brian Lewis, who, as Cyril said earlier on, is very positive about the line and the hand that he wants to play, I think has indicated that he's going to stick to the forehand despite the front bowl in the draw. Yes, he is. He's staying on the forehand. He played the forehand with his first bowl. He looked for a back bowl. He knows the weight on that hand. He's pushed it out wide, as he can well afford to do, because he could go round the front bowl and still finish in the count, but he isn't. He's coming inside it. He's beautifully bowled here. If that bowl stops, he's got another shot. And it falls in, and I'm sure that they're now lying 3 shots. And the jack picked up immediately, and 3 shots it is. And so 12-6 to Wedgewood Park, and that's just exactly what Pretoria High School old boys didn't need. After 11 ends, 12-6 to Wedgewood Park.
Yes, Kevin got 2 rubs there, one a lucky one and one an unlucky one.
Yes, the second rub saw him take his own bowl out and leave Wedgewood Park with 2 bowls. And for those of you who may have joined us a little late, just a quick recap as the 12th end in the 4s starts with Wedgewood Park with the red bowls and Pretoria High School old boys with the white bowls. Wedgewood Park leading by 12 shots to 6, and it's their lead, Mike Cecil, on the mat. In the senior singles final this morning, Ken Gibbon of the Bergfleet in the Western Province defeated Nico Brookhuizen of Harlequins in the Northern Transvaal by 21 shots to 19. He was 17 shots to 7 down and came back from there to win it by 21 shots to 17. The pairs final this morning went to Neil Burkett from Port Elizabeth and Danny Agras of Glen Country Club in Cape Town, who played against Esmond White and Butt of ERPM and won by 25 shots to 10. It was Burkett's second victory in the pairs. He won it in 1983 with Harold Horsley when they played out of Westview Club. And then in the senior singles this afternoon, the game that's already over, Dave Pulteney, the pupil, defeating the master and the reigning South African singles champion Dave Kempthorne by 21 shots to 15. And I suppose it had to happen sometime. How Dave Kempthorne survived through this tournament is perhaps something of a mystery even to himself. He came from behind to win so many times that this time he just really needed to stay in front the whole way to win, and he didn't do so. I particularly remember a game which he played, which I think was for a place in the last 16 against Mayon Anstey of Glen, when he was well down and he came back to win 21-20, and when they were 20 all, Mayon Anstey had plenty of room in which to draw the winning shot and failed to do so, and Dave breathed a heavy sigh of relief and realized that he was very lucky to get through that one. And then yesterday against Ronnie Russell of Auckland Park, he was in all sorts of trouble when he was down by 17 shots to 8. He came back to win it by 21 shots to 8. But today, once Dave Pulteney got his teeth into the game, Dave Pulteney was down 15-13, and then he picked up a single on the 18th to make it 15-14 against him. And he then went home with a 4 and a 3, playing quite immaculate bowls, as Dave Kempthorne appeared to just lose his touch a fraction. So 21 shots to 15, the new South African national singles champion, Dave Pulteney of Ladybrand in the Southern Free State, the runner-up Dave Kempthorne of Ladybrand in the Southern Free State. And you heard the oohs and the ahs from the crowd as Errol Rakusen, the second for Wedgewood Park, just missed flicking the shot bowl out, or alternatively flicking the jack away from the shot bowl. But Pretoria High School old boys only lying 1. Now they may be lying 2. This is a very good bowl here by Charles Brindley, and he has drawn a second shot, I think, jack high. And so Wedgewood Park with a little bit of work to do here. If they just spring the jack, it will probably turn into 3 shots for Pretoria High School Old Boys. So the alternatives here seem to be the draw or a fairly heavy running shot to make sure that if the jack is sprung, it goes well back, because Wedgewood have the best back. Dave Kolnick's playing with running. I don't know that he's got enough running for the kind of shot he wants here, unless he gets through and finds the shot bowl. He does. He takes it away clean without moving the jack. And still, I think Pretoria High School Old Boys hold the shot. Yes, Kevin Campbell signaling that they hold the shot, but the shot now is in a much more vulnerable position than it was before.
Yes, he's improved that position a lot. And all they have to do now is play onto their front bowls, turn it over once for a shot.
And another shot drawn there by Chris de Swart, the third for Pretoria High School Old Boys. Dave Lewis looking at it carefully. He says it's only 1 shot. Kevin Campbell gave the impression that it might be 2. But Brian Lewis seems to be satisfied that it's only 1 shot. It certainly looks like 2 from here. And Dave Kolnick asked again to play with a little touch of running. If he holds up, he might get a result here. Has he got enough running to do it? Well, he's pushed his own bowl in, but I don't know if he pushed it in far enough. Yes, he might have, you know. He might have got second shot with that. He almost certainly got second shot. And it's becoming a more and more interesting head, this one, because now a little touch on the second shot bowl on the forehand, and both the Pretoria High School bowls could go out of the head and leave Wedgewood Park lying 4 shots. Now, Chris de Swart has moved across to the forehand. He would have to be very careful about being narrow here. I don't think he's narrow. I think he's looking for his own front bowl to turn it into the head. He's a little too wide for that. He goes right round the head to the back. Both sides have 2 bowls at the back, so no particular danger for either of them there, but certainly Pretoria High School Old Boys are looking just a little bit vulnerable now.
Interesting, Jeff, to see if he'll play the forehand now and get onto his bowl to remove the 2 bowls, or whether he'll still stick to the backhand on his theory that he would rather play the 10% shot on a line that he knows, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Well, I suppose he could get both of them on that hand too, Cyril, if he hits it right. Has he got the weight? I don't think so.
No.
Not the worst protective bowl. He may well have played for the block there. Hasn't made it any easier for Kevin Campbell. Certainly seems to have closed off one of the shots that Campbell had available to him, Cyril.
Yes, but I think that was very negative, because he could afford to be up to the head. Kevin can't really afford to play that forehand with any weight, because he could take out his own bowls.
Well, he's decided, I think, that fortune favours the brave. He's not short of weight here. He's running right onto the jack, is he? Oh, he touched the front bowl, otherwise he would have had the jack. And perhaps playing a chop and lie on that front bowl, Cyril?
He could be. He's got the back bowls in position. I'm very interested to know who's actually lying shot. I see one of the Wedgewood Park bowls on the left of the jack could be actually the shot. Difficult to tell from our screen.
Well, now Dave Lewis is, I think, going to look for the shot to take both the Pretoria High School Old Boys bowls out. Be very surprised if he doesn't play with a little more running here than he did with his previous bowl.
He's on a very good line, and his weight is excellent.
He just failed to touch the bowl.
Great try.
Some of the very interested spectators cooling themselves down, it looks like, with a little cool drink. not surprisingly, because it's a pretty warm afternoon. The wind has dropped to a very, very gentle breeze. The trees just swaying quietly in the breeze. The umbrellas around the side of the green are still, and Campbell's bowl is on the way. He's going to turn his opponents up for shot, is he, or has he turned them right out of there? No, he's turned them up for the shot, and in fact they may be lying 2 shots. That's 1 out. And the measure coming out, I think. Yes, and bowl being propped. Dave Kolnick, as all good thirds should at this level of bowls, carrying a prop with him.
Yes, a piece of chalk.
Well, that's the most common piece of most common prop used, isn't it? And they've immediately called for the umpire, because I think there's quite a lot of propping to be done here. Some of the other bowls involved in the measure are also leaning at a rather precarious angle, and no doubt Dave Kolnick.
Kevin must have been under the impression that they were lying the shot, because he attacked a very dangerous head there. The only thing he could do was turn the short bowl in, the short bowl in 4 shot with the weight he had. So I wonder if he wasn't convinced they were line shot anyway.
And there you see the umpire doing the measure.
Just go in there on the far coast. Really money. Double one. Yeah, so get
Doing it with the measure most commonly used by bowlers today. That's the aerial type, the portable radio aerial type measure. Very accurate. There are still a few bowlers who prefer the strings, but in the main they tend to use the telescopic measure.
Yes, Kevin's last bowl could be the possible second shot on the follow-through, but obviously he knew the shot was against, and he managed to get second shot.
Yes, he has got second shot, so 1 shot it is to Wedgewood Park, and 13 shots to 6 they lead after 12 ends. Well, 13 shots to 6 then, and the 7-shot gap is back again. Wedgewood Park started off, went into a lead of 5 shots to 2 after the 4th end, and after 7 ends they led by 9 shots to 3 it was. So they had a 6-shot gap there, and now the gap is opened to 7 shots. They had a rather sticky patch on the 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th heads when the Pretoria High School Old Boys team picked up 5 shots to pull back from 9-3 down to 9-6. But immediately Wedgewood Park came back with a 3 and a single, and they lead by 13 shots to 6 with 9 ends to go. Good opening bowl from their lead, Mike Cecil. And it's noticeable that both sides have tended to use the right-hand side of the green as we look at it now predominantly. That's the forehand going this way and the backhand coming the other way.
Yes, if the green is running at 2 different speeds on the either hands, it does certainly pay them to get onto one side and stay there, because once you keep going across to a different weighted green, your pinpoint accuracy becomes a little bit more difficult.
Another good bowl from Mike Cecil draws a round of applause from the packed bank.
Jeff, if you've noticed, Wedgewood are really keeping the game very tight. They certainly not giving away any big scores, and they are really playing it very, very tight indeed.
They have in fact only dropped 1, 2 and 4 singles. So in the space of 12 ends, that's pretty good going. 4 singles and a 2. They've won 7 out of the 12 ends played. They've scored 13 shots. Their opponents have only scored 6. They have picked up 4 2s and a 3. And probably the difference between the two sides is that the Wedgewood Park front rank are just that little bit steadier.
Yes, without question, Jeff. They're giving wonderful support to Brian Lewis, and he's just very hoping that they keep up this high standard that they are producing.
And again, the Pretoria High School Old Boys second, Charles Grindley, a bit wayward both on weight and direction, finishing behind the jack and well narrow of it. And he played the other hand, and maybe the hand is cutting across, and that may be one of the reasons why they're not playing it. This bowl going right to the back, I think a protective bowl asked for by Brian Lewis and given to him in case Pretoria High School Old Boy should trail the jack. He's certainly builds up his heads very scientifically, does Brian Lewis. He's in the game all the time and conscious of whatever danger there might be and protects against it all the time. And a good bowl here from Pretoria High School Old Boys. Charles Grindley gets him the shot. Resting a front bowl through and taking its place, but just being a little closer to the jack with the extra weight and finding the shot. But a nice shot on here for Wedgewood Park on the forehand. A little touch on the jack could make 3 out of it again. Or he could, if he's slightly narrow, Errol Rakusen fall onto the shot bowl. But he's a little wide. He's got the right kind of weight, I think. No, he's too heavy for the kind of shot he wants to play too. So he needs a bit of a weight adjustment there, and he was also a little on the wide side.
Jeff, all he needs is 2 feet of weight through the head just to tickle the jack back. He doesn't need that sort of weight.
Yes, he would have finished up nearly 3 meters through the head there if he hadn't found that back bowl. And here, Pretoria High School Old Boys, Chris de Swart.
They could sell it here, Jeff.
Oh, and I think you're right. I think they may have given it away. The bowl falls over. Let's see what indication Brian Lewis gives. He marks the toucher. He looks at the head. And I think he says he's 1 down. Not the clearest indication I've ever seen of what the position is, but no doubt Dave Kolnick, his third, knows exactly what the position is. He's on the mat now and playing the forehand. Needs to swing quite sharply, as he may well do. He's on a very good line here. If he's not too heavy, finds the shot bowl and onto the jack.
Brilliant.
Well bowled.
Very well bowled. He played a brilliant shot there. They now line 3 shots.
Yes, all the pressure is back on Pretoria High School Old Boys again, and Kevin Campbell, really, that's, I think, has been the story of the game. He has never really been in a position where he's been able to capitalize on anything. He's always been fighting to get out of trouble.
Well, that goes back to the old story again, Jeff. You can only play as well as your opposition let you play.
And there again, Chris de Swart, very much too heavy. He may have been looking for a back bowl. If he was, it's gone in the wrong direction, I think, from where Kevin would have wanted it. He would have wanted it more across where he's standing. And now Brian Lewis comes down to play with 3 good shots held.
Yes, he was too wide there. He was looking for the inside line to turn his bowl into the head or take the shot bowl out, and he was just a little too wide for the target area.
Once again, that hand that hangs out a little bit, and Brian Lewis again refusing to play that hand. He's sticking to the forehand. It's not an easy shot on that forehand because the way it swings.
And a block that...
and he's blocked 2 fours.
Yes.
One with his own bowl and one with an opponent's bowl. So again, Kevin Campbell with a lot of shots against him and a very difficult shot to play.
He's either got to open it up for himself or he's got to play to push his bowl in. He's got 2 bowls. He's going to have a full go on the forehand, I think.
He's having a run at it. He's hit the front bowl. He's taken the shot bowl out, but still...
Took 2 out, Jeff.
Wedgewood still lying 2 shots, are they not?
That's right.
Yeah. So, an opportunity for Brian Lewis. I think he could now draw the shot on the forehand.
Yes, it's his bowl coming in as well.
Yes, his bowl right in the draw, so if he strikes that bowl and turns it into head, that would be another. If he slips past it, he'll draw another shot.
In fact, all of his bowls are the ones coming in.
Yes. (13-6) Wedgewood Park lead as we come to the completion of the 13th end. And Brian Lewis tracking very well here. If he doesn't find a bowl, though, he's too heavy. He needed to find one of those two bowls. I'm sure that was what he was looking for, not the port.
No, I think he was just meaning to draw, and if he happened to collect the bowls, that would have been fine, but he was a little too heavy. Do you think Kevin could play the backhand here, Jeff, just to turn his bowls in? No, he has no option, really.
Well, he could even play the draw on that hand, except that the line seems to be so difficult to find. He's playing the backhand. He's playing a very tight line. The bowl is beginning to bend now. Is he going to find that bowl right, or is he going to go past it? Yes, he has. And I think he's got the shot. Yes. Very good bowl indeed by Kevin Campbell. And it'll be interesting to see what tactic he adopts now. So one shot it is. And 13-7 after 13 ends.
I wonder if we'll have a pulled mat here now.
Wedgewood leading Pretoria High School old boys, and immediately Kevin asks for the mat to be brought right up.
Yes, this is one of Kevin's very old tricks, and funny enough, they work.
Well, I suppose it's something that you actually have to practice. I always used to find it terribly frustrating and difficult when playing singles, when an opponent pulled the mat up on me. But over the years, I've practiced doing it to myself, and I've found a way around it. It really is something which you have to learn to combat, because it can be a match-winning tactic, and it'll be interesting to see whether Wedgewood Park are capable of handling the change in the length of the head and the fact that the mat is up. It's a much shorter end, this. Much shorter head.
If we can give any advice to bowlers out there, when you're practicing, just always put the mat where the head that you're practicing to finishes, and just keep playing like that, and eventually it won't worry you where the mat is put.
So Mike Cecil's first bowl with the mat pulled up, and I wonder what's going through his mind at this moment. I should think I just mustn't be short. If I were in his shoes, I would be trying not to be short. He looks as if he's a little narrow. But he's got past the bowl for the shot, and that'll give him a little bit of confidence. It's not perhaps as accurate a bowl as he would like to have played, but no doubt, having got the shot, the confidence level will rise. His confidence level will rise. And this one from Lewis Toll looks as if it's gone a little too wide. It has. So Mike Cecil tries again. His weight was perfect. He needs a touch of grass.
Well, he's taken that grass.
Yes, he's looking very well bowled here. If he touches that jack, he's very well bowled. Oh, he just missed it. If he touched the jack, he would have put it away behind his own bowl. So Wedgewood Park hanging in there. 13-7 up after 13 ends. 8 ends to go. Wedgewood Park at their 4th attempt to win the South African national title. They've been runners-up 3 times before. And I remember the last occasion. I think it was the first television commentary I ever did, and it was at the 1984 championships in Cape Town when Shalom Rummel was the skip of the Wedgewood side.
Has Kevin Campbell ever won the South African fours title, Jeff?
Well, not under PHS Old Boys, he hasn't. Whether he won it at some other club when he was with, as he has moved around a bit from club to club, he may well have won it some other club. And another very good bowl there, right on top of the jack. Just quickly looking through the previous winners of the Payat Cup, the Fours Championship. I don't think that Kevin has ever won this particular competition before. He was, of course, the runner-up last year. But Wedgewood Park were the runners-up in 1964 in East London. And then again in 1977 in East London. Then in 1984 in Cape Town, and again in 1990 in Cape Town.
We have a very unusual situation here, whereas the skip from Wedgewood is called his second up to have a look at exactly how the bowls align, to let him know exactly what shot he wants him to play. And you don't do that very often in a tournament, but there are times when you have to call your second down to come and have a look, so he understands exactly the shot that you are calling him on.
Presumably he'd like that bowl just to the side of the jack, turned just behind the jack on the draw, so it's a dead draw just to touch the jack behind the bowl. He's put in a back bowl, very much too heavy, and in fact he's gone right into the ditch, so I'm quite sure that's not what Brian Lewis wanted. He's much too heavy for the shot that was asked for.
Brian Lewis should consider just getting all these bowls, Jeff, towards the back now. And it will make Pretoria High School boys go a little bit on their defensive, because the jack can only move backwards.
Good try. He's opened it up. The jack is visible now.
David, try and fall on, Michael, so you cover the white.
And Brian Lewis asking for a draw right onto the jack. And I think that Dave Kolnick may be a little heavy here. Has he forgotten that the mat was brought up, or has he got his weight right? Well, he was a little narrow. Promoted one of his opponent's bowls, did no damage, and in fact hasn't made it any easier for Pretoria High School old boys. That bowl is just slightly in the draw and may force them a fraction wide. And Krista Swart being called up to have a look at the head. Perhaps just indicative that the tension is beginning to mount, Cyril, and possibly the nerves are beginning to tingle a little bit on both sides now.
Yes, I would say more so on Kevin's side, having been in the final last year, and once again so close again this year, and seen the game slipping slightly. Obviously getting a little anxious.
Can Krista Swart hold up here to get around that? But he hasn't got the running either. Not quite sufficient running, and he's turned the Wedgewood Park bowl up. He hasn't made it easier for himself.
Brian Lewis is debating now on what to call now.
Draw between you two balls.
Kevin Campbell has certainly a very tricky shot to play here. He can't afford to have too much weight in case he takes his bowls out the head. Yes, he played a very good shot there. He took out one of the Wedgewood Park bowls, and they'll still line one shot.
And a great bowl there by Brian Lewis. Well, we're beginning to get towards the end of our commentary time. We'll shortly be moving over to Durban, where the final in the Benson and Hedges cricket is being played at Kingsmead this evening. And we're just going to be able to perhaps see the end, the completion of this end. And just to recap the day's events for you, the senior singles was won by Ken Gibbon of Bergfleet, who beat Nico Broekhuizen of Harlequin by 21 shots to 19, and he came back from being 17-7 down to win that senior singles title. And just to digress for a moment there, Brian Lewis having a good look at the head, deciding what shot he's going to play. He has the back bowls in position. I think he probably just draw to get another one in the head. The pairs, Neil Burkett of Port Elizabeth Club and Danny Agras of Glen Country Club in Cape Town, won 25-10 against Esmond White and Butt of ERPM. That was in the pairs. In the open singles this afternoon, the master Dave Kempthorne, and the reigning South African singles champion, in fact, was beaten by his club compatriot Dave Pulteney by 21 shots to 15. And one shot it was there to Wedgewood Park, and Wedgewood Park now lead by 14 shots to 7 after the completion of 14 ends. So it will be indeed be very, very interesting to see who is going to take this fours title. Wedgewood Park have really controlled the game throughout. They started off with a 2 and then a single. They led by 5 shots to nothing, and then PHS Old Boys picked up a 2 to make it 5-2 to Wedgewood, and immediately Wedgewood scored 2 2s and jumped into a 9-2 lead. That was after 6 ends. On the 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th ends, PHS Old Boys scored a single on each end, and after 10 ends the score was 9-6 in favour of Wedgewood Park. On the 11th end, Wedgewood picked up a 3 to make it 12-6. A 1 on the 12th made it 13-6. Then 1 to Pretoria High School Old Boys on the 13th end made it 13-7 in favour of Wedgewood Park. And then on the 14th end, a single by Wedgewood Park, 14 shots to 7, and that's the score as they have just started the 15th end. And there are 7 ends to be played in this match. So PHS Old Boys, skipped by Kevin Campbell, 3rd Christa Swart, 2nd Charles Grindley, lead Floris Toll. Battling it out with Wedgewood Park, Brian Lewis skipped, Dave Kolnick 3rd, Errol Rakusen 2nd, Mike Cecil lead. PHS Old Boys, the runners-up last year, looking as if they may well finish in the runner-up spot again. And Wedgewood Park are leading by 14 shots to 7 after 14 ends. We may have time just to watch one more bowl, and that bowl has been delivered by Charles Grindley, the PHS Old Boys second, and he's drawn the shot. So that's the position then here at Cape Town. After 14 ends, Wedgewood Park are leading by 14 shots to 7 against Pretoria High School Old Boys. The open singles was won by Dave Pulteney of Ladybrand, who beat Dave Kempthorne of Ladybrand 21-15. The senior singles was won by Ken Gibbon, who beat Nico Broekhuizen 21-19, and the pairs was won by Burkett and Agras. So now it's time for cricket, and the cricket is being played at Kingsmead in Durban. We say good afternoon to you from Jeffrey Weinberg and Cyril Lohana, and over to Kingsmead for the cricket.